Good morning and welcome back to Middleton-one-row, where I'm about to start day 4 of my Teesdale Way adventure. It's a fairly grey autumnal morning, but it's still very early. The only activity is quite a few dog walkers, and I think it might brighten up as the day goes on. And there in front of me is my first view of the River Tees today, catching the early morning sunshine and moving at quite a speed because we have had rain over the last few days. Today I'm doing a far longer walk than my previous days. I've been checking the map, and despite the number of miles I've already done and the ascent I've done, because I have gone up a few feet here and there, I've come down almost as much as I've gone up, and the river is still very close to sea level. I think today's my last day of walking along these fairly flat plains before it starts to rise up into the Pennines. So I'm going to make the most of it and stride out and let the miles peel past me. I've been walking now for about an hour through beautiful deciduous woodland, which is changing colour as the autumn progresses. I've been walking quite a few feet above the river, but it's definitely running faster now, and I can hear it bubbling and babbling below me. And the birds have quietened down a bit now. When I started, they were definitely having their dawn chorus, which was a treat as well. And after an hour of walking through tree-covered lanes and across open fields and down a piece of road which was very pleasant because there was hardly any traffic, and the colours of the trees alongside at this time of year are beautiful. But after all that, here I am, back alongside the Tees. And although the river's looking beautiful and calm on this lovely, clear, sunny day, this raised embankment between the river and the houses is an indication of how, over the years, the river was very liable to rise and flood this whole area. So not always so gentle and calm. Because I had a very early start this morning, I wanted to stop somewhere fairly early on to get something good and proper to eat rather than relying on my sandwiches. But because it's a Monday and it's October, hardly anywhere's open. But I did find this golf club, and I was a bit cautious, thinking, would they want a scruffy walker in a golf club? But they've been absolutely lovely. The prices are very reasonable and I've had a fantastic breakfast. So, all set to go now for a bit further. I've come down off the path to have a better look at this beautiful medieval bridge. It's quite a beautiful structure, and it's also the first bridge for me to pass since I left Yarm, which was a good few miles away. It's again an indication of the strengths of the river, the widths of the river, and how it really did cause a divide between areas until relatively recently, really. Since we've had motor transport and we've been able to build more bridges. I've just had not too much of a life in your hands moment as I've crossed the A66. It's the only major road that I have to cross on the entire Teesdale Way. So that's pretty good going, really. There's the A1 later on today, but if my map reading is correct, I think I go under that. I don't think I've got to actually go over it, as in dodging the traffic over it. That's what I'm hoping. And I'm finally back by the River Tees, which is wonderful. I've had a lovely walk so far today. It's been varied, going through different types of landscape, and with weather like this at this time of year, the colours have been amazing. But I've seen very little of the river today, and I'm missing it in a way. I want to see what it's doing, I want to see how it's developing. So I'm looking forward to a stretch now where I have it keeping me company. And if I needed further proof of the power of this river and the water running through it, I think the noise and the sight of the water tumbling over this weir is sufficient to answer any questions I might have had. I've just had a very welcome, very necessary pot of tea, because one thing about glorious weather is it also makes for thirsty walking. And I do have a flask with me, but given the choice, I'd rather have a pot to the fresh stuff. It somehow does the job better. And now I think I'm walking alongside the river for more or less the rest of my route today. That's a bit of a wobble. Apart from sort of the minor matter of going under the A1, but I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be fine. I think it's still under it. So we'll see. And while I was filming that, I was being very careful about where I placed my poles to make sure they don't touch these things. I've never seen so much giant hogweed. There have been signs warning about it since my last day's walking, and it really has been all along the banks today. It's extremely invasive, as well as pretty nasty if you get any of it on your skin. It might have been a wonderful idea by those plant collectors to bring it over whenever they did, because it looked very pretty in gardens, but these things have a habit of getting out. So if you're on holiday abroad somewhere and see something nice, don't think, oh, that would be nice to take a small cutting of and grow in my garden. You might be the cause of another type of giant hogweed. And there it is, up ahead of me, or over my head. I've been able to hear the traffic for such a long time now. It's nice to see that there's a good path going underneath the road. And it's good to know that pretty soon I won't have to listen to this noise any longer. I might even manage to hear some birds. Here's hoping. I'm not a great lover of flat landscapes. I've got to admit I prefer mountains, but when you come out of a shady wooded area to a view like this, it does take your breath away. I'm now on the outskirts of Piercebridge, which is where I'll be finishing the walk today. And you can't see it because of the trees and the sun sparkling on the water. But directly in front of me are the remains of a Roman bridge, which was the first bridge crossing the Tees in this area. The Romans had a fairly substantial settlement in Piercebridge itself. And given that we're not actually that far away from Hadrian's Wall, being able to cross the river at any point was a great advantage to them. And there's the bridge that marks the end of my walk today. Built after the Roman bridge had been swept away. It held an equally important role strategically, not just for local people and local commerce. There was a battle here during the Civil War, as there was in Yarm, except this time it was Cromwell's men who were victorious and defeated the Royalists. The river looks and sounds completely different now from how it was even this morning, and far, far different from my walk the day before that or the day before that. It's faster flowing. You can hear it as you walk past it now. It's definitely a younger river than the slow, slow river that was meandering down past Middleton-one-row and out towards the sea. Like many walkers, flat terrain isn't really my landscape of choice, but I have enjoyed today. It has been varied and the weather's been fantastic and the colours have been glorious. So what a fantastic way to spend a day in October, at a time of year when we're never really sure when our next bit of sunshine is going to come. So I have enjoyed it. But at the same time, I'm also glad I made the decision to make this a long day and to blast through the miles. I've enjoyed the physical thrill of sort of cruising along, getting the miles under my feet. But also, I'm now ready to do some ascents. I'm ready to get onto some paths which are more tricky and demand a bit more of me. So it's time for a change, and I think the change is now going to come. So I'll come back next time. I'll be heading for Barnard Castle, and then I'll be doing the stint from Barnard Castle up through Middleton on Teesdale, past High Force, past High Cupnick, and over the top to Dufton over 3 consecutive days. I doubt if I'm going to have this sunshine. I just hope I haven't got this wind.